before the dollar, before the pound. Before even gold dominated trade, there was another system, forgotten currency that didn't exist in paper or coin, yet ruled the world's economy for centuries. A system so powerful that it united empires, collapsed kingdoms, and shaped the foundations of modern banking. But here's the mystery. It wasn't money at all. It was something far more abstract and far more dangerous. Setting the stage to understand how this forgotten currency ruled the world, you have to go back to the 13th century when trade routes were expanding. Merchants were gaining power, and physical gold couldn't keep up with the speed of commerce. Enter the bill of exchange, a simple piece of paper that promised value without carrying it. It allowed merchants to move wealth across continents without touching a single coin. It was the birth of trust-based money, an invisible web of promises that linked Venice to Constantinople, London to Cairo, and merchants to monarchs. It was revolutionary. For the first time, money didn't need to exist, only belief in it did. But behind that belief stood powerful families, the Medici in Florence, the Fuggers in Germany, who mastered this system. They became the world's first financial dynasties, lending not just money, but power itself. Kings borrowed from them. Wars were funded by them. And nations rose or fell depending on their ledgers. The rise as the Renaissance unfolded, the forgotten currency evolved. These bills, letters, and notes turned into early credit systems. The Medici Bank created an early version of what we now call correspondent banking. A branch in Rome could transfer value to one in London with a stroke of a pen centuries before digital wire transfers. The system thrived on trust. But trust was fragile. When kings defaulted on loans, entire banks collapsed. When rumors spread, economies froze. Every transaction was a gamble that tomorrow would still believe in today's promises. This invisible system grew so large that by the 1600s, it birthed a new idea: centralized backing. The Bank of England was created in 1694 using government debt as its foundation. In other words, promises turned into the world's first official currency. The breaking point, but like all empires of illusion, it had limits. Wars demanded more credit. Rulers borrowed beyond measure, as the once powerful families lost control, as governments nationalized their systems. The trust-based currency of merchants was replaced by state-backed money, still built on promises, but now enforced by law and military power. The original system, the one built on trust and paper, disappeared from history books. Yet its DNA survives in every credit card swipe, every digital transfer, every bond market. We still trade promises, not money. Fallout plus modern parallels fast forward to today, and the same illusion rules us. Over 90% of the world's money doesn't exist physically. It lives as numbers on screens. Digital promises backed by confidence, not gold. The ancient currency of belief has evolved into the backbone of modern finance. When central banks print trillions, they're not creating wealth. They're creating faith. The same fragile trust that powered the Medici's network now fuels a $100 trillion global economy. And when that trust breaks, as it did in 1929, 2008, and nearly again in 2020, the illusion shows its cracks. The system that once ruled the world hasn't vanished. It's just changed its name. 3 takeaways, plus warning, plus call to action. First, money has always been a story, and the storyteller controls the world. Second, every empire from Venice to Wall Street runs on trust, not gold, not paper, but belief. Third, the more invisible money becomes, the easier it is to control. The forgotten currency still rules us, only now we call it credit, debt, or digital money. The question isn't what money is, who decides its value. The same illusion that built the world can destroy it. When trust dies, money dies with it. So before the next crisis hits, ask yourself, who really writes the promises your world runs on? Subscribe for more untold stories of money, power, and history, because the truth about wealth is never what it seems.